Dear students, now we will talk about the second phrase, and that is prepositional phrase. In earlier video, I told you about noun phrase. When we were studying noun phrase, we tried to study noun phrase by understanding its function and its structure. Same thing we are going to apply to learn about prepositional phrase. So, what is the function of prepositional phrase and what is the structure of prepositional phrase? That we are going to learn one by one. Now you know that in prepositional phrase there must be a preposition. Without preposition there cannot be prepositional phrase. Second thing is that prepositional phrase can come as main phrase and even also a subordinate phrase. Just like the noun phrase, which can also be a main phrase and a subordinate phrase. So, first we will learn the function of prepositional phrase. Now, while learning about the function of prepositional phrase, we will learn what it does, how it functions in a clause, how does it function in noun phrase, and how does it function as post modifier. So these three things we are going to learn. So the first thing is prepositional phrase functions as adverbial in a clause. Let's understand how with example. See, this is a clause. For the first time, they went to Sajjangad on Monday in the evening. Now this is the sentence or say clause. Now if you remember basic sentence pattern, in a video I told you there are certain basic sentence pattern. you will notice that this day, this went is subject, verb, and this makes basic sentence patterns of this sentence or clause. And in it, you will notice that for the first time, these four words make a group. To Sajjangad, this also make a group. On Monday, this is also a group, and in the evening, this is also a group. And all these groups begin with preposition. On Monday, in the evening. It means that these all are prepositional phrases. Now, what function they are doing in this clause? And if you remember, in the basic sentence pattern, I told you that a word or a phrase in a clause functions either as subject, as predicate, as complement, as object, or as adverbial. Now, you can easily understand objects. How the objects are the things on which the action takes place. Now, what is adverbial? Adverbials are those words or phrases or group of words that gives more information about the action or the verb. Now, here you see that verb is went, and if you ask WH questions to this went, then you will have answers like this. Where did they go? To Sajjangad. When did they go? On Monday, or say in the evening. So these all are prepositional phrases function as adverbials in this clause. Do you understand? So in this clause there are four adverbials, and if you remember, when we studied word classes, what is the feature of adverbial? Adverbials can be more than one in a clause. Secondly, they can be put anywhere in a clause. So therefore, there is no surprise that there are four prepositional phrases working as adverbials in this clause. So this is the first example, and it shows that adverbial prepositional phrase functions as adverbial in a clause. Now look at this example. They work round the clock service. Now you see that This group of words is noun phrase, and in it this round the clock is prepositional phrase, and since this is head word, this prepositional phrase becomes pre-modifier in this clause or in this noun phrase. So it shows that prepositional phrase can function as pre-modifier in noun phrase. Now, one more thing is that prepositional phrase even can function as post modifier. Let's understand it with example. Now, pre-modifier and post modifier, pre-modifier comes before the head word and post modifier comes after the head word. Now let's say, for example, a man from the Mars. Now this is a noun phrase. You can easily identify it. And since from the Mars here from functions as preposition, it is prepositional phrase and it functions as post modifier in this noun phrase. Or more example, a tree by the well. Now in this phrase, this is total noun phrase and here prepositional comes as phrase within phrase and functions as post modifier. So you can easily understand that prepositional phrase functions as post modifier in an noun phrase. Even it can function as adverbial phrase or adverb phrase in certain examples. See, for example, too slowly for joy. Now, this too slowly for joy, this is a complete adverbial phrase. And the second part of this adverbial phrase that begins with the preposition is a preposition phrase and it functions as post modifier in adverb phrase. Do you understand? Now, one more type of example is in a room in that house. Now here you will see that this total is a prepositional phrase, and within this prepositional phrase this is also one more prepositional phrase and it functions as modifier. So here you see that PP functions as modifier within prepositional phrase. Here PP prepositional phrase function as modifier, post modifier in AVP, adverb phrase. Do you understand? So remember these all examples. Now let's try to understand second important thing, that is the structure. And in the introductory video of this module 5, I told you that PPs are prepositional phrases are exactly like noun phrases. Only one thing is different, and that is prepositional phrase begin with a preposition. So the structure of prepositional phrase is preposition plus NP. Now see for example, at the college. Now in this example, this is a prepositional phrase. It begins with this at P. Here you see that head word is noun, pre-modifier is determiner. So this makes this structure of prepositional phrase. Do you understand? Now the important thing that we should understand is the difference between prepositional phrase and phrasal verbs and also prepositional verbs. Now, while talking about the prepositional phrase, we come to know that prepositional phrase begin with preposition and it has structure of P plus NP. For example, in a, or say, to take a complete sentence, I sat in a room. This is prepositional phrase. But what is phrasal verb? When using certain verbs, we use certain preposition as a part of that phrasal verb. We call it generally prepositional verb or phrasal verb. See for example, he looked after his mother. Now you may get confused that this after is part of this element or this verb. Now, look after is a prepositional phrase and it means to take care. Therefore, this after preposition becomes part of this verb to look, and this is different. This is object. This kind of verbs are often get confused with prepositional phrase. We must know this difference. There are many such words. For example, set off, set in, take off. We often use this phrasal verb in our writing and conversation, but we should not confuse them with prepositional phrase. I hope you have understood the things. Thank you.